What we would like to do is I would like to start by with the statement to the audience, and then we will try to explain what the statement means, and then we will take any questions that you may have. The superintendent's proposed draconian cuts to school programs for children, including arbitrary school closings, staff firings, elimination of programs, drastic class size increases, cuts to kindergarten, outsourcing athletics, and more, are unnecessary, unwarranted, and just plain wrong. This alleged crisis is based upon bogus numbers that until now have not been challenged by anyone, including the media or the Board of Education. The cuts are demonstrably harmful to students and to the Rockford community that supports our schools. They are yet another example of the superintendent's willingness to sacrifice the quality of the school district in her misguided understanding of how one effectively leads school reform. The Rockford Education Association, with the help of experts in school finance, has analyzed Dr. Sheffield's report and the school district's finances. The budget numbers do not add up. We have discovered that this administration has made critical mistakes and miscalculations. What they have done and how they did it is now quite clear. They manufactured a crisis to suit their own purposes. Correcting their budget lights a clear path to a financial plan that does not necessitate Dr. Sheffield's devastating cuts. Saving our district requires the following immediate actions to fix the errors that we have discovered in the budget. And they include: fix a $41 million revenue error in the flow-through funds budget line. This amount is misplaced. The error actually grows the deficit in the Sheffield-Lewis budget to $83 million. Adjust a grossly inflated and unrealistic projection in expenditures for employee benefit costs. The Sheffield-Lewis budget assumes a 75.5% increase in that area. Current increases over the last several years have been anywhere from 7 to 9%, in the 7 to 9% range. The district's illogical assumption added $48 million to the budget deficit, creating a huge and unnecessary budget hole while establishing a false case for drastically reducing employee benefits. Adjust the general state aid and the corporate personal property replacement tax to reflect the amounts established by the Illinois State Board of Education and the Illinois Department of Revenue. The original budget assumed no increase in general state aid and declining corporate personal property replacement tax revenues. Now that we have the actual numbers from the state, the budget should first reflect those numbers before proposing drastic cuts in services. Corrections in these two areas alone would reduce the deficit by at least $21 million. Fixing these errors in the budget will reduce the deficit to approximately $15.6 million. These must be corrected before cutting any programs or services to children. In the course of our review, we have also identified a number of other questionable budget items which, when reconciled, will reduce this deficit even more. However, to assure that this community and school board make decisions based on factual information that can be confirmed by credible auditors who have no political interest in the outcome, we are calling for a forensic audit of the district's books and practices to assess the true status of its finances. To meet its critical obligations to this community and every student that has been falsely put in jeopardy in this crisis, we now call upon the school board to take the following 3 steps. 1, Fix the budget to incorporate the previously cited corrections. 2, halt any and all actions based upon bogus numbers in budgeting. And 3, commission the forensic audit to assess the true financial standing and outlook for District 2, RPS 205. Rockford teachers are calling for these actions in the name of the children, parents, and taxpayers of this city. We are the teachers who, along with the students, experience the impact of bad decisions every day. Enough is enough. The numbers speak for themselves. Mistakes are being made, damage is being done. We cannot sacrifice students, programs, or employees because of a manufactured financial crisis. To dismantle this district under false pretenses would irreparably harm children and further scar this community for years to come. The Board of Education has a responsibility to hold its administration accountable and certify that it is acting in the best interests of children. Until all Rockford knows the truth, we ask the school board, do not rip this school district apart based upon erroneous budget numbers. Before a single school is closed or a single program is cut, the truth about the district's financial situation must be determined. Until that time, halt all actions that will unfairly and unnecessarily harm students and our community. Now, with that, you've been given a packet, or you're about to be given a packet, that is going to point out to you the areas that we've just outlined in our statement. And while I am going to go through, Mark is going to provide the color commentary regarding these cuts. But if you'll open your packet to page 2, this is kind of like the summary page. And if you will look at the first line, and first of all, this refers to the current year budget. The current year budget.
And I'd like to point out that for this document and for all the documents we've used, where we've gotten our information is the documents that the school district submitted and filed with the Illinois State Board of Education. We have seen various different numbers on various different documents. The legal documents by which the district runs are the audits that are done every year, which establishes what the actual use, and the budget that is submitted, that budget being the legal document saying this is how we plan to spend the money. So we don't deal with any superfluous information other than a couple of other documents in here which are state-generated documents. Nothing else but state-generated documents.
Okay. So we're going to keep going back and forth from this page 2 to the subsequent pages that will actually support what we've got on page 2. In the first line, the projected deficit for the 2010-2011 is $43.5 million and some change. And that can be found on page 4, which is, I'm sorry, forget that one. That's what's in the projected, that's the projected deficit though. We need to go to the correction of flow-through amounts of $41.1 million. And look, you need to look at page 4. And Mark is going to explain to you what that's all about.
As you look at page 4, you'll see 3 numbers that have been circled. And you'll also notice that all 3 numbers are exactly the same. Two numbers in the revenue, one number in the expense line. They're all 41 million and change. Two of those numbers are correct. One is like Sesame Street, not like the others. There is a budgeting line item called on behalf of, in which the state pays money on behalf of the district into the teacher's retirement system. On this page, and this page alone, within the state's budget document, the on behalf of is demonstrated both as an inflow, where it says receipts, revenues for on behalf of recipients, and as an outflow, disbursements on behalf of. We never see those checks. The district never sees those checks. It is just an accounting number. The problem is that as you go to the top 41 million, that's in a different line, but the same number is there. That's in a line called flow-through receipts revenues from one district to another district. In past budget documents, that shows up as a zero. It does show up showing money in audit documents. What is meant by that section is if another district uses state money or other monies to buy services from this district for students, that income goes into that revenue line. For instance, if there's a special ed student in one of the surrounding districts and they do not have a service required for that student, but Rockford does, the district will pay Rockford for that service, and the revenue is accounted for in that line. Because at the budgeting time, it's unknown at all what any of that will be. It varies so much, but also is pretty minimal. That usually is budgeted as zero, and we see it showing up instead as revenue in the audits. In this case, it miraculously shows up as the same number as the on behalf lines. We believe, having looked at that and stared at it, that that is an error. The problem is it causes the deficit to go from the 43 million, another $41 million up to $83 million. So now, on paper, so now what we're stuck with in asking the question, how did we go from surpluses in our budgets just 2 years ago to an $83 million deficit? We have to find out what's going on. And we have to try to be able to reconcile that. And that's what that number is all about.